I watched this video on like I learned how to use a live 2D in 7 days. Few months later, I become like a VTuber myself, and I start practicing with that stuff. And I meet Soup, and Soup invites me to draw VTubers from memory while drunk. And she's like, "Yeah, I got two people," and to me, I meet these two guys. Okay, one of them, his name is Mr. Grand VT, and the other name is like in my brain is like, oh, person I've never met before. Turns out, right after the stream was done, I was like, who are these guys? I look Zekoz up. He's got like 20,000 subscribers on YouTube. I was like, wait a minute, who are you? And I look at his like most viewed video. It's the same video. He's like, you made the I learned live 2D in 7 days? I didn't know that. And I was like, wait, did I say something wrong? Did I mess up my chance? Oh no, oh no. We're gonna watch a video by my buddy Zekoz.
Singing is one of the most desired skills in the world, and it takes a lot of time and effort to master. But in this challenge, I will condense that entire process into just 1 month. So come with me in this journey and find out exactly what
I remember I was on Twitter one day and I was scrolling through and I saw Zekoz post like, hey, singing friends, I need help. Little did I know he was making this video.
I did to transform my voice from this, "Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel," to this, "Oh, freedom is mine."
Oh my God, so much more open.
I know how I feel. My name is Zekoz, and I'm going to learn how to sing for 30 days.
And like body of
The
sound
ability
too.
to sing is highly valued in the world of VTubing, which makes sense, considering its Japanese idol influence, but also in an industry focused on anonymity, your voice and how you utilize it becomes more of an important factor. So if you can do more with it, like sing, you can immediately have a way to stand out in an ever-expanding sea of VTubers. To even have a chance of succeeding in this challenge, we need to come up with a plan.
I joined an a cappella group in college. And I got singing lessons, kinda, from a jazz singer. She was a jazz singing teacher. I learned how to scat, like skibbity bop da da, and I learned a lot about like warm ups and like voice control. I was a bass singer and a beatboxer for the group, and so it was a lot of fun. And there's a lot of like when you think about singing, you think it's like very, very basic. You don't know what you don't know about singing. And I think this video really, really gets into like that kind of deal where talking about all the things you won't really think about when it comes to singing. You think singing is like talking, but there's so much things like voice placement and tonality and breath control. As a band teacher, I had to take choir teaching classes, choral methods, they call it.
Having a plan allows us to break down the overwhelming task of learning.
And I had this really, really like Korean like singing teacher. He was so intense, and he would always say specific instead of specific. He would say specific
into much smaller bite-sized pieces. This way we can have clear goals to strive for each and every day and avoid the risk of burnout or losing drive. There are 3 key parts to my grand plan: direction, routine, and performance. Direction was to ensure that I was being efficient with my learning. With only a single month to work with, I needed to get the best bang out of my buck. This meant getting advice, doing...
Was he at least nice? Toad asks. Let me tell you. One time, okay, so choral methods is held in the band hall, right? The band hall itself that holds all the instruments and stores all the instruments is in the band hall. And one day he's teaching and I have to take the cymbals into the band hall because like I have to leave that day and there's like a bunch of like stuff that I have to do. And so, okay, I try to quietly go into the band hall and drop off the cymbals. What ended up happening was I drop off the cymbals, I start turning around, I start going to the door. He's like, hey, EP, come here. And he's like, can you sing for us? I was like confused and I was like trying to be like authentic and genuine about it. And like, okay, he's trying to play around or something. He ended up just playing some chords on the piano. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. So I'm just gonna like hum a note a little bit. He interrupts me and he's like, I am teaching a class right now. You come in here, you cause disruption. And I'm like, in front of the class, like they're all looking at me. They're like my colleagues. And he's like getting super serious. He's like, I'm sorry. And he's like, he starts to like kind of like silently scold me in front of the whole class for like disrupting the freaking class in the middle of the regular band hall where everything has supposed to happen. Like I'm supposed to wait outside for the thing to end. And embarrasses me in front of everybody. And then makes me leave. I tried to forget about that all the time. But it was a very, very, very bad time. He was a very old school Asian Korean vocal singer teacher.
Proper research, and
Let's get back to the video.
diligently tracking everything that I've learned. My path to singing proficiency needed to be as clear as possible. No distractions, no confusion, and minimal roadblocks as I completely lock in for this challenge. So with that in mind, I split my learning across 4 weeks. Week 1 to 2 was all about research and grasping the basics. Week 3 was polishing the basics and exploring my voice. Lastly, week 4 was all about practicing songs that would be in my set list on day 30's live performance. More on that later. My routine was to keep me consistent. If I don't take this seriously,
Fundamentals.
I might as well not be
Get 'em.
doing this at all. This meant showing up even when I don't want to, and dedicating everything I had into this endeavor for the next month. Having said that, the tricky part is balancing it with my full-time job, making content, and streaming, alongside whatever life has to throw at me. So how did I do this? Well, my solution was simple. I set clear parameters for myself. A minimum of 1 hour a day will be spent practicing, and any free time will be spent learning, whether that's from YouTube videos, feedback, or analyzing my own singing as I go. This way I can focus all of my practice time into action.
So, parameters, good. Minimum hour and hour practicing, any free time equals learning. If you want to get really serious about like improvement in like a talent, whatever, setting really, really, really specific goals for each day is also really, really good. Because you can, even if you don't achieve them, you can figure out things about yourself in terms of like how fast you learn in order to achieve the goals that you want as fast as you can. And as less like freaking depression, I hate this, as you can.
Focus all of my practice time into actually singing, while still enhancing my knowledge of vocal techniques through study. But you might be asking yourself, why don't you just use that extra time to sing more? More singing equals more improvement, right? Well, for one,
No.
I don't really fancy belting out a Whitney Houston number in the middle of the office. But more importantly, think of it like this. There's no point in being a competitive boxer if you don't know how to even throw a punch. I can sing all I want, but if I don't know what I'm doing, then I won't get very far.
Perfect
Plus,
practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
I don't know if
Intentional practice makes perfect.
you've noticed from my other video, but I just love learning new things. And lastly,
Same.
performance will be the result of everything that I've learned put together to serve my biggest personal goal out of this entire challenge. To live out one of my biggest aspirations as a VTuber. You see, I started my VTubing journey completely starstruck by these VTuber idols who could perform and sing their hearts out to their fans, and I wanted to be just like them, if at least partially. Even if I'm not selling out venues at large concert halls by the end of these 30 days, I do want to host a live performance for my lovely and supportive community in the form of a special karaoke.
I gotta do a karaoke stream. What is a VTuber that can't sing? The VTuber that can't sing? Do, mi, so, mi, do. Freaking, I need to sing. Oh, God. I need to learn how to sing. I mean, I do know how to sing a little bit, but I see like how I sound on stream.
Karaoke stream, partially.
Because I
Even
do
if I'm
I do
not
feel
selling
like
out
that,
venues
that
at large
starstruckness
concert
of
halls by the end of these 30
idols.
days, I do want to host a live performance for my lovely and supportive community in the form of a special karaoke stream. Even if it was self-imposed, the pressure was on. Before we go any further, I just want to be completely transparent with you guys and say that I'm not starting from zero. I've had about 3 months worth of voice lessons about 3 years ago and casually sing every now and again. However, it has been a very long while. I mean, 3 years, right? I was slacking on exercises and only really practiced during the once a week session. But this time, I really wanted to give it my best shot and see how far I can push the limits of my voice. So with that being said, we need to have a starting point. So I recorded myself singing a new song that I have no practice with, but it's one that I really enjoyed. Feeling Good by Michael Bublé. And I'm feeling good. Sleep in peace when the day is done. That's what I mean for me. For me. Oh, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom.
I do that too. The every day. Oh shoot. Oh.
For me. Oh, stars when you shine. You know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine. And I know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. A new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Whoa. I'm not. Am I a bad person for almost bursting into laughter? He improved a lot over the month. I watched the stream of the 30 days afterwards. I watched the. You're not a bad person, okay? However, I'm not going to say anything about that because, like, who am I talking to? Like, he's like literally already like talking to lessons teachers and trying to get better. Like, what am I going to say now? Just like see this person and they ask me for like singing lessons, even though like I'm not a vocal teacher. I would practice scales as a band teacher. Wow, band teacher says you need to practice scales. Yeah. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, do, ti, do, re, mi, re, do, ti, do. And try to just get like the tonality with the piano. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. I gotta stand up. I gotta sit up. I gotta sit up.
It's not great, but it's also not terrible. Mostly. There's
Mostly,
potential.
mostly.
I just needed to figure out how to bring that out. Now, the first step of the plan was to set a direction. There are so many educational singing videos out there, so where do we even start? Well, instead of blindly clicking, I reached out to my followers on Twitter to get some advice as I knew some of them sang. And while the post itself didn't get a lot of replies or attention, please follow me, I don't know how this platform works, the replies from those that did contribute were fairly useful. Additionally, I knew a couple of really talented friends who took time out of their busy schedule to give me some of their singing advice. Kuzi.
Oh, I would, but I'd be suffering trying to float the whole time.
And Zashido.
The best of all this world could give.
Funnily enough, Zash is actually a certified voice teacher, and bro is so passionate at singing and music.
They sound pretty great. Flashback to my Do Re Mi.
Funnily enough, Zash is actually a certified
good,
voice teacher, and bro is so passionate at singing and music that he actually offered more than just advice. We agreed on weekly check-ins where I would send him my best recording of Feeling Good, and he would give me feedback, and this feedback would go on to...
I wonder if Mike Boyd learned to sing. Oh, he didn't quite learn to sing. He learned how to break a glass with his voice. Which is a form of singing.
I don't know how it happened, but the universe has blessed me with a voice teacher now, but I really shouldn't take him for granted because it's only check-ins and consultation. So a lot of practice and learning is still on me. However, now that I've got all that advice, the next step was to
There's no natural talent.
The biggest
You gotta
standout here
practice.
was breath control, especially because it was supported by the first bit of feedback from Zash. It's an odd thing to say, but it's time to learn how to breathe.
Yay!
I didn't realize until I started researching it, but breathing technique is actually very important for singers, and it makes sense. If you break it down, breathing is a lot of what singing is, at least at the most fundamental level. It's basically just air moving through your flaps in your throat and out your mouth to create a sound. The speed of the air dictates the intensity of the sound, and the size and shape of the passageways, like your mouth and throat, dictate the type of sound that gets produced. Now, from hearing that, you might think that to control our breathing, we must focus on our lungs,
Silly website.
mouth, or even our throat. But in reality, our abdomen is actually what does most of the heavy lifting. Sure, abs themselves don't make a sound, but they are crucial in affecting the sounds that are produced by controlling the amount of breath you take in and release. You can even test this out for yourself right now. Take your hands and put them around your waist. Now say, s, s, s. Notice how your abs move. Pretty cool, right? In Zesh's feedback, he told me
One of the coolest things I ever heard that I heard a band director say was like, breathe all the way through the toes. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking like, fill up the horn with enough air that if it were to back travel, it would fill up your entire body and like inflate the toes like balloon. I'm like, oh. Power. Body of sound. Breathing. Okay, hold on. Let me back it up real quick. I want to back it. This is his list. Let's go through this real quick. Gauge your vocal range. Don't smoke, drink, obviously, but do the former, so whoops. Yeah. So, yeah, drinking is not really that great for singing, even though you do it a lot during the karaoke times. You know what I'm talking about? Those Filipinos. What was that? That freaking, you're here, there's nothing I feel. But he's doing it chest voice. Insane. Yeah. Consuming certain things that affects your esophagus and throat. Hydrate. Learn to have fun. It's important to challenge yourself. Yes. I think a lot of things I forget to do when I'm learning how to draw is to draw for fun. And I kind of get too deep into like the process of drawing boxes. So I shoot myself in the foot and I don't want to draw anymore. Find your vocal range. I wanted to be a bass singer for so long, and I completely like 180. And I want to sing like freaking Yunzi from Sigur Rós now. Oh, so good. And freaking he's so like, I don't know how to get his tone. I mean, I have my own tone. EP tone. Sounds like EP tone with that falsetto. Try to get it right. And you need hecka reverb to sound like him as well. He's in a deep cave. We're almost for breath control. Bro, when I was in DCI, percussion never has to do like breathing gym, right? Breathing gym is the most like insane thing I have ever like experienced in my life. One, I have asthma. Very, very dormant asthma. It only comes up in very, very, very specific cases. Like I'm outside all day in the heat playing cymbals for 14 hours. But all percussion, all the drum line had to do breathing gym one time with the horn line. And it was, oh my gosh, everybody was passing out.
The weak ones just used to keel over and die. You'd hear them going down behind you. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And there was always a whiny kid going, meh, can I go out and do some breathing? And she'd say, no.
The amount of like breath control, like breath required to play a DCI like baritone or tuba. Wow, so much air. And you have to get used to like being able to like have no oxygen in your system like a diver does. Insane. They would do like, okay, breathe all the way in, hands on your head, okay, and then you like twist left, right, hold it in. I've been holding my breath for like 15 seconds. This is no deal. It's fine. All right, take 2 sips. You still haven't breathed out yet. Look to your right, 2 sips. Squat down. Okay, we're squatting right now. All right, stand up. 3 more sips. You haven't breathed out yet. All right, and breathe out for 30 seconds straight. Like clock seconds. I probably did it wrong. Okay, the instructions are probably a little bit too crazy, but it's like, it felt like that. It felt like just like, and you get to the end, you're like, you think you breathe out all the air that's in your lungs? You haven't. There's still more air in there. and you can still push it out with the same amount of like velocity that's required to play a brass instrument and not pass out. So I was very happy to be playing cymbals that day. Neat thing, but I realized drinking soft drinks, especially Coke, made it hard for me to fry scream. Fry scream. I want a reel. Drinking enough is important to stick with water for that. One thing, when I learned voice acting, I learned to drink a lot of water because that saliva is going to make your smacks way louder. Your vocal cords are muscles, so training them regularly is important. Even just 20 minutes a day, you can start seeing improvements over time. Yeah. I always think of every single idea according to music as a muscle. Even the brain stuff. Good posture is not something you do, it's something you build. Yeah? Good sound is not something you do, it's something you build. I love the word direction when it comes to music. I always use it when I teach my kids. Make sure that the phrase has direction.
A lot of my issues would be fixed with proper breathing, and he's quite right. But getting to grips with proper breathing techniques would be difficult. But alas, I binged countless videos to try to wrap my head around it, and I focused hard on developing a mind-body connection so that I can understand that feeling between my abdomen and my breathing. I made sure to keep track of things like how it felt to suddenly contract my abs, how it felt to let out a big sigh of air, how it felt to lock up my abs, and how it felt to ignore my abs completely. It was important to ask myself these questions so that I can become more intimately aware of how my body worked while breathing and, by extension, while singing. It took time, but the more I was aware, the better control I had over it. The first practice session was focused on making my breathing more even. I had this tendency to expel a lot of breath at the start, which meant I had less air later in the phrase, which made it trail off. To tackle it, I sang a phrase whilst keeping the same intensity all throughout. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Yes, this does sound incredible.
Okay, breathing, keeping the constant like pressure of breath throughout the entire phrase before you take another breath is very, very important. Also, knowing how to really use your breath in terms of, like, if I were to talk like this, and I would have to say a lot of words like this, it's a very breathy tone, and I have to take a lot of words in between breaths. Whereas, if I were to be able to use the same volume by even using less breath, and I can sing much longer without having to, like, I have like very breathy, like, how are you doing today? I'm doing very well today. Thank you. If you want to learn more about that, freaking look up Tim Warwick. What was the tag at the end of Notre Dame? Just to live one day out there.
Is to understand the feeling of singing evenly. On day 3, I sort of figured out how to sing the E sound, something that plagued me for the longest time.
Oh.
Okay, so I think I just figured out how to sing the E. I think I figured out how to get it up so that it feels more free and less tense. So instead of me, it's me, afar thee.
Oh,
I wasn't straining as much anymore.
that's
but I'll
good.
find out later.
Yeah,
that
you
this
opened
was
up.
Only the start of solving.
Most people tell you just yawn. Because you can put the vocal cords, like the voice, like way forward in the mouth, like, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Or you could put it more back and yawn a little bit. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
this difficult sound, and the very concept of vowel modification, which would play a very big role later. On day 4, I tried those vocal workout videos, and after just 20 minutes,
Daily
my voice
vocal
became
workout.
so tired to the point that I could barely sing at all. I was never a big fan of drills or workouts, so this just
You need to drink what was it called? Throat juice? It's a tea that you like to drink. Hold on. What was it? Oh, it's throat coat. I think it's called throat coat. Throat coat. Bro, I learned this from Schlatt, of all people. Jay Schlatt. Apparently throat coat is like a standard amongst singers in like the studio.
just cemented that feeling and made me want to avoid them. However, I still needed to continue on with my practice, so I couldn't just stop midway through the day. My voice was tired, but it wasn't in pain, so I figured I was okay enough to continue, and I'm glad I did, because when I practiced feeling good, my mouth and throat sort of just opened up out of nowhere. It felt amazing. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. However, it was only for a single phrase, and I had to suffer the feeling of embarrassment when I belted out this part of the song, knowing that my neighbors and housemate could probably hear my terrible screeching. Sorry, guys. But on the bright side, I did discover
I am a drummer, and so I live in an apartment, and so I can't really play a lot of music. I mean, I try to do it very, very seldom. The problem is I live on a freaking second floor.
Discover more of my potential, albeit very briefly. It finally made me understand what singers meant when they say singing should feel effortless. This was a huge boost in motivation and made me even more excited to continue on. However,
unfortunately,
it would not be enough to stop
I have like a baritone, like,
and it would get
I
so
wanna be a
bad
bass
that
singer.
when I tried to sing,
I think I
higher
can
notes
sing
on day
bass, but I don't
5,
feel like I sing
I would
bass.
notice how loud I got, and
I feel like I should not
immediately
sing
stopped
bass,
myself out of
but I'm not a
reflex.
tenor.
It was frustrating because I knew I couldn't
Heck no.
improve if I couldn't get past this feeling. But today was just not it. However, over time, I learned to gradually be more comfortable with getting louder and louder until I was able to continuously belt out notes. The feeling of embarrassment never went away, but I grew more used to it, especially knowing that I had to if I wanted to improve.
That's the same thing with nervousness as well. Years and years and years of performing in like band and like everything. My first few years, my bowels hate performing. The anxiety is too much for them. I do realize that nervousness and anxiety before performance never goes away. You just get used to it. It just like, oh, it's happening again. There's no getting past getting nervous. It's just your body's getting ready for a huge, it knows it's about to be chased by a lion. And so it's getting ready to do that. Just understand it, accept it, and get used to it. Because the blood's gonna flow, the chest is gonna cramp, and like everything's just gonna happen.
It wasn't easy, but I pushed myself through. Day 6 rolled around and I decided to start my session by measuring my hissing length. No, not the type of snake hissing.
I'm a snake. I'm a slithery little snaky snake.
I feel like this video, I feel like this video is like the first brain rot. It's one of the earliest moments of brain rot that I can remember. I mean, like, I know there's like plenty more like brain rot beforehand, like Crazy Frog or whatever like that. But like, this is a very original, like OG brain rot moment.
Snake.
Basically, how long I can do this. This is a good exercise to measure how good your breath control is. The longer you can keep it up, the better. When you're letting out that hiss, really focus on how your abs move. It can contract, but it can also expand. Allow it to move as it needs to, but ensure that it's gradual, gentle, and smooth. My starting length was 22.5 seconds. We'll keep that in the back of our heads for now, and check it
22
back every now and
seconds.
again until the end.
Are we gonna do it, chat? Are we gonna do it? 16 seconds. Boy with asthma tries to hiss as long as he can.
And at the challenge to see how well I get. While the hissing was decent, the rest of the day was pretty bad when it came to energy. I felt really tired, but I powered through anyway for the sake of the challenge. It was a pretty mid-session all in all, and constantly doing these vocal
When it
workouts
gets
and
boring, you
exercises
really know who you
killed
are.
my motivation with each passing day. However, something happened that would help with exactly that. Like most people these days, when I go to bed, I usually like to spend a bit of time scrolling. You know, as you do. And I'm really glad I did because I
As you do.
stumbled on this vocal coaching video with Addo in the thumbnail. And guys, if it involves Addo, I'm clicking. This video from Chris Lipe talked about how important
I'm ready for the show.
exploration and discovering your own voice was, how playing around with all sorts of weird sounds and noises that you normally wouldn't make can give you a better understanding of what your voice is capable of, and in turn allow you to control it better because now you've unlocked these new feelings.
Ooh.
It was a completely new perspective to practice that blew my mind because I was always under the impression that I had to always do these scales and workouts and other boring and tedious exercises to get better. But now I've been taught something very valuable, which fits my learning style to a T. And from this day forth, exploring and discovering my
It
voice
fits everybody's learning style, Zekoz. It fits everybody's learning style. Any way you can make practice fun is everybody's style. Nobody likes to do the boring stuff. Now, when it comes to like bodybuilding and working out, I found it to be very, very hyper focusable, which made it much more fun for me to really, really think about. And when I was working out, it was kind of this like huge like bump in scientific working out. Jeff Nippard and like Dr. Mike Israel, Tyler Path, we're all making these videos about like proper technique, scientific working out, and it allowed my ADHD brain to really, really, really focus in on like, what is the optimal way that I can spend my 1 hour in the gym? Okay, static stretching is bad. You want to do dynamic stretching. You have to get a good warm like muscles. Okay, they can't be cold muscles. It was like winter at the time, so I was like walking from my apartment to the apartment gyms. I was cold, so I gotta like put the hoodie on, right? Warm the muscles specifically. Thinking about like till failure and RIR. Should I get lifting straps? Is this giving me the stretch that I need? All that kind of stuff. And I was really, really like, okay, studying, working out is kind of fun, specifically because my ADHD was just kind of like hyper focusing on like optimal like ways to do what I'm doing. Because I love that quote. If you want something done, hire a lazy person because they'll find the easiest way to do it. And I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to work out, which was also fun. It was a lot of fun to just watch all these shorts and all these videos about people working out correctly and working out incorrectly. Whenever I thought I figured out like what my routine was, then it started getting boring. And so now I got to look up more videos. And I was so lucky because like people kept figuring out more things about like, oh, it's not about the full ROM. It's about the stretch. Oh, maybe this, and like literally a month later, maybe I was overreacting on the stretch. It's about working hard enough that you actually stimulate the muscles to stimulate growth. And I was like, whoa, I'm learning something new. They're learning something new. I'm changing up my routine. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this and doing that. And trying to make everything more optimal. And so that made working out fun.
Become a large part of my practice. And after doing exactly that on day 7, the first week of the challenge was over. I learned a lot already, but we're only getting started. When we sing, the parts that actually get sung are the vowels. And I know it might seem like a, well, duh, sort of thing.
Well, duh.
But this is actually very important. It might seem like a, well, duh, sort of thing.
Well, duh.
But this is actually very important to
clip.
understand, and here's why. For singing, we have 5 vowels. A, E, O, and U. Notice
Vietnamese has 12 vowels. E, O, U, E. Got it?
how they're slightly different to the vowels that we use in English. A, E, I, O, and U. Try this. Pronounce the letters A, I, and U very, very slowly. And notice what happens. The letter A is actually a combination of the singing vowels A and E. A,
Hydrate.
Likewise, for the letter I, it's a combination of A and E. I. And for U, it's E and U. EU. You. See what I mean? So this week was all about grasping the idea of vowels and applying it in practice. There were a few moments that made this week was all about grasping the idea of vowels and applying it in practice. There were a few moments that made it click for me. One of which was when I was singing You Raise Me Up, a song I'd always had trouble singing because of how high the belted up note was. But after learning about vowels, I noticed that I was singing up with an O vowel, like up. You raise me up. So as an experiment, I modified my pronunciation to be more of an up, up. And this small change worked wonders. You raise me up to
Raise your ya.
walk on. So
Hey, everybody made fun of that clip. It worked. She hit that, right? She hit that.
Oh, that's the one.
Raise your
I didn't realize at the
yo-yo.
time, but I found out much later that this was because I changed my placement and accessed my mixed voice. To quickly explain, placement is where your voice sits when singing. Something like this, would be placed at the front of the mouth, while something like this, would be placed at the back of the mouth.
Yeah, voice plays. Yeah.
Did you notice the difference? Your mixed voice is the middle register between your heavier chest voice and your letter singing voice. I found that you can practice
I need to sing like Yonzi.
switching between these by doing a siren exercise like so. And don't worry if you find yourself cracking into head or falsetto, because right before that crack is actually where your mixed voice should be. This video by Studio West explains this really well. But alas, while I can celebrate this win, the experience also highlighted my weaker vowels, E and U.
Yeah.
So
The break is so thick. I think it depends on the direction I go at it. Whatever it is.
the experience also highlighted my weaker vowels, E and U. So I spent the next day learning all I could about them and found that I was actually closing my airways and therefore tensing up. But I also learned that certain mouth shapes can really help open up my airways while still allowing for the intended vowel to come through. For example, instead of singing E like this, E, I can sing it like this. E, E. Notice how the sound changes but the vowel remains the same. While both have their use cases, the latter provides a bigger volume of air to work with, which means an easier time for those higher notes. I also started to religiously practice.
I guess I could push my tongue back a little bit to kind of make that sound. Sorry, I'm
sound changes
talking
but
over
the
the
vowel
video.
remains the same. While both have their use cases, the latter provides a bigger volume of air to work with, which means an easier time for those higher notes. I also started to religiously practice the A, E, O, and U exercise from Victoria's video to get the hang of vowel control so that I could access these vowels more fluidly.
Tutorials.
Right after day 9, I
Yeah.
took a small break to go see my first ever concert. Baby Metal at the O2 Arena. And boy, was that a crazy first concert. Let me tell you, I was screaming my ass off with no regard to vocal technique whatsoever, but it was so worth it. When I returned to practice on day 10, I looked into how to properly warm up. Like, I knew what to do, but I hated doing it.
Hey, this man just, I don't want to do this no more.
At least until I found Chris Sleepace's video. It blew my mind because it crushed my preconceived notions on what a vocal warm-up should be. I guess just like the other video that I saw from him. It reframed my understanding of it from strict exercises to freedom of exploration and discovery, focusing on being intimately familiar with your own voice. All the way from the weird to the crazy and everything in between. Chris showed me how warm-ups in practice shouldn't be about sounding good. In fact, you should feel okay with sounding bad. This is because it's the perfect time to do so, as you can explore, experiment, and just generally have fun playing around with your voice. And
Yeah. No shame in the warm-up area. This is stress level 0. Time to mess up. Time to mess up, kids. I tell that to my students all the time. It's like stress level 0. This is the place that you want to make mistakes and really sound bad, because then you know your playing field a lot more. You know where your limits lie. That's fun. I like that. I need to watch that video.
that's what singing should be, right? As I approached the end of the week, there were 2 vital things that I would learn. Leaning into the breath and imagining a downward sensation. When I sent in my second week's recording to Zash, he responded with some key feedback in regards to my breath control, where he described the sensation of leaning into the breath. This was to help with gradual movements of the abdomen as breath is being expelled. This helped with the evenness that we talked about earlier. For downward sensation, I like to think of this as the feeling of pointing your voice down. This was to mitigate the tendency of my larynx to rise as I reached higher and higher notes, which caused some uncomfortable feelings like straining or being stuck. There's this really interesting counterweight effect where the higher you go, the more of a downward sensation you should apply. Of course, this is different for everyone, but this way of thinking worked for me. That being said, I must stress the point that you don't have to keep your larynx down. It can go high like this. It can also be neutral like this. Or it can be low like an opera singer.
Luciano Pavarotti, rest in peace. He sounded good in this video. He made this video afterwards. I can tell.
Or it can be low like an opera singer.
Oh.
The important thing here is to keep it relaxed and flexible. So armed with this knowledge, I focused the last couple of days in the week to understand and practice them by applying my newly found knowledge to songs. The way I went about it was I slowed down the song and sang every single vowel very slowly, but also very deliberately to understand that feeling of my breath, the feeling of my vowel shapes, and the feeling of my downward sensation. As the Navy SEALs say, slow is smooth.
Downward
smooth
sensation is a
fast.
new concept that I haven't.
Fast, let's see.
At least I think it was them who said that. I'm not entirely sure. I don't. And with that, my
it's
second
good, it's
week
good,
came
it's
to a
good.
close. It was a very dense first 2 weeks, but this would pay off in spades because now I can use what I've learned of the basics and have fun with some playful experimentation for week 3, which would produce some interesting results. Or so you'd think. However, week 3 started off pretty rough. It was a long day, I was physically and mentally drained, I didn't have the energy to do anything, but I did want to stay true to the challenge, so
This is
I pushed
where-
myself to practice. It
This is
was
where you.
frustrating
This
singing
is it.
songs
This
that I
is
knew I
the.
could
This
do
is the
better
push.
with,
This is the
but
wall.
just couldn't due to all the fatigue. On day 17, Zash sent me some feedback. The main takeaway was that I didn't have as much control of my larynx as I should have, as it kept trying to go up.
First thing I'm hearing is that your voice seems to be resting in a higher part in terms of placement. If I can get technical for a moment, your larynx needs to be fairly high. This gives a feeling of tension or tightness. You want it to be high, okay. Something you can do for this to do a descending yawn sigh, but as you near the lowest part, to allow the breath of air to release more. I don't know if that makes sense. Hold on. I read the paragraph 11 times, and I still didn't get it.
Say the lyrics as poetry aloud or to an audience or person. This helped a lot with developing a more expressive tone and voice while also diverting away from the hyperfixation on control and technique, and therefore allowing myself to relax a little more, helping reduce tension as I focused on expression. And because our last week was coming up, Zash offered to set up an official call to coach me in real time. This is the closest we'll ever get to getting voice lessons during this challenge, so I was super excited and grateful for the opportunity. Until then, alongside practicing all the techniques I learned during the first 2 weeks, I did a lot of voice exploration as well. I also played around with my range to see what my extremes were and where my breaks happened, which gave me a good look at what I could be capable of. Time. Time. Time! 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 However, after this,
Head
Zash
voice.
did tell me that my voice range was about a high baritone. This was a wonderful time as I would start to finally learn to accept my voice and how I sound.
Accept yourself. Love yourself.
Ado's influence during this really came through as well,
old
as I began to play
millennial
around with how I could
vines. Look at
express
us
myself
go.
through singing with different dynamics, voice effects, etc. And I allowed for myself to just go all over the place and be okay with it. On day 20, more things started to click. Notes that I used to struggle with now felt more manageable. I even compared my first rendition of Feeling Good from day 1 to now and was blown away by the difference as I had not heard it for a while. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life, a new life for me. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a
Tonality! Yeah! Look at that tone. Look at that tuning, too. Very good.
new life, a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. And I'm feeling good. I was indeed.
I can't call. I don't sing that good, but I can. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. Good.
I was indeed.
You're a country
feeling
singer.
good. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end.
No, it
At
doesn't.
least temporarily, as I ran into the dreaded wall on day 21. I felt stuck and even felt like I was regressing. I was plagued with this for 4 days. The final weeks
Progress is not a straight line. Where's my freaking scene? Progress is not a straight line. Get it through your head.
started off rough. Facing this roadblock for almost half of the final stretch was frustrating, to say the least. I knew what good technique was, but for some reason, my body just wouldn't do it. I ended up overthinking every single little thing, and I swear it nearly drove me insane. This slump also resurfaced some bad memories. See, when I first began VTubing, I uploaded a cover of one of my favorite jazz songs, Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra. It was to celebrate my first 100 subs. Look how far we've come, huh? At the time, 100 subs was huge for me. It marked a big milestone, and I wanted to give back to the people that helped me get there. So I figured I'd release a short cover as a little thank you, despite not knowing how to mix or record covers at all. But gosh darn it, I gave it everything I had.
God.
Only to be met with
EQ compression.
laughter from a close friend at the time. In fairness to them, they did apologize, but it was already too late. Like dominoes, it brought back other bad memories where I faced some of the same judgment. Being laughed at by friends and being told to stop because I was just that bad. And looking back, yeah, that was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty terrible. I would not listen to me back then either. But those moments did tear down any semblance of confidence I had, which wasn't a lot to begin with. And fast forward to present day, those memories would only grow louder no matter how hard I tried to push through them. I tried to focus on the basics, thinking that my fundamentals would carry me through, but no matter what I tried, nothing worked, and I only grew more and more frustrated and doubtful, getting into my own head and asking myself, am I just wasting my time with this challenge? Am I gonna get laughed at again?
I think he already crossed the wall. Every artist hit the wall, right? The only thing that helped me get through times like this, especially like back when I did DCI, right, is knowing that the wall existed in the first place. Actually, like, gave me everything to know. I think I have some sort of talent for it, to be able to kind of just like remove myself from the situation. Like I can't really recall a time where I was super in my own head about something that I really wanted to do. I think D&D would probably be like the closest thing. And the only things that really get me past, like, let's say, like creative blocks and like the idea that like I am not the DM that I want to be creatively and like the storyteller that I want to be creatively, is stop getting into my own head, get into others, and really try to explore more outside of what I'm doing right now, beyond DMing, like beyond singing, beyond music. I guess like there's sometimes I would say like, oh, I'm not as good of a storyteller as I used to be. The ideas aren't flowing to my brain as I used to. But I think in the sense that like the difference between me now and me then is that like me then is me trying to prove to myself that I am the greatest, like that I can be at this moment as a storyteller. But also me now is like me trying to prove to myself that I am the person that created those stories back then. And it ends up being like a re-perspective, not a new perspective, but a re-perspective. Going backwards make no sense because like I've been taught by so many great teachers, learning how to do something that's really hard, that gives me a lot of delayed gratification, and knowing that sometimes progress is not a straight line. And I shouldn't get too in my head about these things. And I know a lot of my students get into this like sort of headspace of like, I practiced all night yesterday. I practiced all the time this day. And I always tell them, like, were you able to do any of what you're doing right now 6 months ago? They'll always answer no. But I've been able to deal with my walls pretty consistently, just knowing that they exist and knowing that what I'm going through right now is normal. And if people laugh at you, nobody that is a hater is doing better than you. David Goggins.
Was all that effort enough? Am I enough? It wasn't until my scheduled call with Zash that I finally had a breakthrough and was able to overcome the wall.
How did you
He
do
didn't
it?
just coach my vocals. Zash did something more than that. He taught me that I should have confidence in the voice that I have and to strive to see the best parts of it.
The thing you have to remember, and you have to find the beauties in your own voice.
He showed me that going at my own pace was fine. I was comparing myself to those who had years and years of experience.
Oh no, comparison? Enemy of joy, comparison. You want to be as good as the people that you look up to. I want to be as good as a beatboxer as Napalm. But D-Lo taught me that if I just learn Napalm's noises, you're just going to be a copy of Napalm. And I really, really found out that I need to make my own noises and my own sounds and really, really understand like all the little like bits of noises that I created when I was a kid is what makes EP. And the lip roll is what makes Napalm. And I look at all these other beatboxers that have their signature sounds. It's like, I realize that I have my own sounds. I've been doing it my entire life. It's just like, I've just been wanting to be, I wanted to be Abo Ice. I wanted to be Chung Bao. I wanted to be this guy, that guy. And learn their sounds. And I was ignoring my own for so long. The ones that I've been doing since I was a child, just to like entertain myself. And so, yeah.
Well, I had very little. Yet, I was still making great progress. So it was unfair of me to compare myself to others like that.
You're comparing yourself to people who've probably been using their voice for a while. You just started, and if you can pat yourself on the back a bit here, because like I said, and I'll continue to say it, just how far you've come in the matter of a month. Imagine after a year if you continue to work at this. If you can try to focus, you know what, let me take it a day at a time. Let me focus on my voice. Let me focus on what I can do. As you go on and work on things, you will find that, oh, there's an aspect of my voice that not many other people have either. And, oh, I like this part of my voice, And the more you discover, the more you play, the more you'll fall in love with it.
He taught me to trust my body to know what to do, to stop overthinking. I've already gone through the painstaking process of learning and practicing techniques hour after hour, day after day, so trust that it'll be there when you need it, so that you can focus on self-expression and having fun. And so, with my self-confidence not only restored, but also bolstered, I used the final 5 days of the challenge to practice every song on my setlist diligently, but also not forgetting to enjoy myself in the process. Day 30. Performance day. Right before stream, I did a hissing exercise one last time.
Oh my god. Oh,
Aye.
That's a lot.
30,
That's a
wow.
lot. Let's go. New record,
Double
baby. 32 seconds. 10 seconds more than what I started with. So I was pretty chuffed with that. However, when it came to the performance, I was nervous to say the least.
Oh, I'm so nervous. Say hello, chat. You're on camera. Woo!
I started off shaky, but after I decided to do this,
Bird Watchers! Are you ready for a concert?
I felt my nerves start to fade, my body finally loosening up, and my anxiety turned into excitement.
Performance mode.
What
Performance
affects
mode.
me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Hey, Lexi, it's you. You're in the stream.
But in the end, it doesn't even matter.
With each song I sang, I got more and more comfortable to the point where nervousness was totally replaced with just fun. Total, complete, unadulterated fun.
That's what it is about. That's what it's all about.
Soon you'll see, you'll remember you belong to me. You'll be back, time will tell. You'll remember that I served you well. Oceans rise, empires fall.
Yeah.
We've seen each other through it all. And when
Oh, yeah.
push comes to shove, I will send a fully armed battalion to remind you of my love. You'll be the one complaining when I am gone. And no, don't change the subject, 'cause you're my favorite subject.
By the end of the 30 days, I found a new love for singing. I learned to accept my own voice and stop trying so hard to sound like others. And I know React content gets a bad rap, but the ones where the vocal teachers react to a song and give their insight was something I found very valuable during this challenge. I highly recommend them, and I even made a playlist with those and also all the videos that I used as learning material for this entire 30-day challenge. That'll be linked in the description below if you want to check it out. Also, while you're down there, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And if I could be real with you guys for a moment, I may not have the best tone or pitch accuracy, and I'm certainly not going to be selling out any stadiums anytime soon, but I've accepted where I am, and I want to keep moving forward. I want to sing more, and I hope you guys are going to be joining me for the ride. Maybe one day I'll release some originals. Maybe one day I'll even perform live to more than just 30 people on stream. And maybe one day, just maybe one day, I can go up on stage and express myself to the world as an idol. But until then, as I continue to dream these dreams of mine, I'll keep performing. I'll keep having fun as I continue to do things my way. Ciao.
My way. Nice. Oh my god. Okay. I don't want to flex too much. I don't want to flex too much. This is kind of an emotional thing for me. It's part of a competition. WGI, right? But I did this. I was in this competition. And you're in here, right? You have these people, all these people, and you can see how tall it is, right? You have all these people going up there, okay? They're stacked up high. Stacked up high. There's some people behind us too. Performing in front of 14,000 people is so electric and gratifying. And I hope more people get to experience that moment. Like I know they're not all there just to see me specifically, right? I'm one of these people, not in this drumline, okay? But like if I were in this drumline, I'm literally like that guy. Okay? And we're performing something that we worked on for like months. Okay, not months. Since November. We started in November, we end in August. And we're showing them like of our skill and our passion and our love for the activity as much as possible. And you love what you're doing right now, and you get to show everybody how much you love it. It's no other feeling like it in the world. Like you can stream in front of like 50,000 people, like queso, but like seeing the crowd just roar after you're done after a big thing and everybody's just standing up. It's electric. It's just profoundly one of the best feelings I've ever had. I wouldn't have the confidence to do anything like that, but you're doing it with your friends, and the reward at the end is so amazing. Even if you don't win, even if you make 10th place, it's so crazy. All right, but yeah, Zekoz, congratulations on 30 days of singing. I hope you keep doing it. I got to get back to practicing freaking music, my beatboxing and my singing. But it's good. It's good time. I didn't ask you if I could react to this video, by the way. So, sorry. It's public knowledge, all right? It's public knowledge. Public domain. I can use it.